lady. Hey, I got a lady. Hey, name is the upper echelon, she a debater, baby. She can give it to you straight, no chaser. She got the smarts, she got the heart, she got the confidence, baby, she the upper echelon. You know you intimidated, stupid can't play with smart. She got the smart, she got the heart, she got the confidence, baby, she the upper echelon. You know you intimidated, stupid can't play with smart. 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 Hey, I got a lady. Hey, I got a lady. Hey, name is the upper echelon, she a debater, baby. She can give it to you straight, no chaser. She got the smarts, she got the heart, she got the confidence, baby, she the upper echelon. You know you intimidated, stupid can't play with smart. She got the smart, she got the heart, she got the confidence, baby, she the upper echelon. You know you intimidated, stupid can't play with smart. 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 Hey, I got a lady. Hey, I got a lady. Hey, name is the upper echelon, she a debater, baby. She can give it to you straight, no chaser. She got the smarts, she got the heart, she got the confidence, baby, she the upper echelon. You know you intimidated, stupid can't play with smart. She got the smart, she got the heart, she got the confidence, baby, she the upper echelon. You know you intimidated, stupid can't play with smart. 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 Stupid can't play with smart.
Good morning. Welcome in. I know it's early. Good morning. I hope you guys had some good rest. We're going to go over a few documents today. Some of them you've seen before, one of them you have not. So let's get into it, okay? Everything on my channel is alleged and for entertainment purposes only, okay? Under the copyright disclaimer, under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Everything is alleged. Let's get into it, y'all. What's up? What's going on, my sis? What's going on, Rich? Also, if you would like to support me monetarily, you know what to do. My Cash App is pinned at the bottom of the screen. Good morning, Stephanie Maxwell, because I've been working hard, y'all. Hey, Brandy Davis. What's going on? Hey, Honey Williams. Hey, Mentor 7384. Welcome in. Hey, Shanta. On my own. Brown Eye Girl. What's going on? Hey, Robin Lotz. Blessed highly. T. Smith, Nikki Will, Lynette Barnes, Shanta, Becca Cry, Protecting Your Peace, Charmaine, Queen Unique. What's going on, boo? Hey, Brittany Davis. Hey, Share My Love. Share My Love. Welcome in. I like that name. I said hey to my sis Rich. Thank you, boo. Simply Wani. I think I said that right. Hey, Bam Bam. Oh, who else is hey Nina Edwards, you changed me. Did I miss somebody? Miss Cat, Anna White, Lenora Williams, Donna. Let's see. I don't want to miss nobody. The Queen's Den, welcome in. Kay Monet, Miss Lady, Tanisha. Let's get started, y'all. Elegant Cake, what's going on, hon? Tanisha, what is going on? Let's get started. Before we get started looking at what we're going to do today is this morning, I think it's important to do this because from the court proceedings that took place on the 8th, I'm pretty confident that one of the biggest pieces of defense, or one of the pieces of material that the defense is going to use, in my opinion, I call it their golden ticket, or what they think their golden ticket is, would be the orders of protection that Holly Johnson, or Quadasia Johnson, was attempting to get on Romika. Now, the reason I say this is because according to the motion and according to what was said in court, the defense believes that these orders of protection are considered to be proof that Holly in some way was so terrified of Romika that she had to do what she had to do on that day upon her first in-person meeting with her. So we're going to go over a few things because I actually have the initial transcript when she went to go obtain that order of protection from December. We're also going to read the other ones, even though you guys have already seen those. But today we're going to go over the one that she got in December, the one that she initially got. And the reason I want to read that one is because it's a key element in that order that I think is very, very, what's the word I want to use? I don't know. I know the word I want to use. I just can't think of it. I don't know. But I'm just going to say it's a key element and it's a clue. Okay. Before we do that, I'm going to pull this video up because I just kind of want to go over first the interview that Carlos had after everybody got out of court on the day of September 8th. Okay. So let's go over what Carlos said. Okay. Let me pull this up. Welcome in, everybody. Good morning. Let's see. Hopefully this doesn't screw up my anything.
I'm just tired of the lies. I'm just tired of the lies and everything. What they said I did. I know for a fact it wasn't true. I didn't headlock her. I didn't beat her with the door. I only try to diffuse the situation. They keep deflecting away from that. And what I did what they saying I did made it sound harsh, and I didn't do that. So we need justice. We need justice to be served too, the truth. And they keep deflecting from it.
Y'all, when I tell you, when I saw that, it is unimaginable. I mean, I just cannot believe. I can't believe what he just said because, well, I can't believe it. But if this is not proof enough that Carlos really don't care about nobody else but himself, y'all. Carlos, this is just my opinion, okay? Again, everything is alleged. Carlos, in my opinion, does not care about anybody but himself. He's more concerned about trying to preserve his name and his image. It doesn't seem like he's really that concerned that Quadacia's in jail, that Ramika lost her life. He's more concerned with getting justice, what he calls justice for himself. He wants justice for him. He said, we need justice too, because I didn't do that. Okay, that'll be taken up in court. I believe that he did do it. I believe that she was in some sort of headlock or hold because too many people saw it. Okay, but he is more interested in him. He didn't say a single thing about getting justice because he thinks that Holly is being treated unjustly or that she didn't do anything wrong. Notice he never defended any of that. He's not saying that Holly did not do anything wrong. He didn't say that she did not commit a cold-blooded unaliving and she's been in jail for all of this time and she's innocent. And he didn't say any of that. He knows that that's a lost cause. He knows subconsciously deep down that what she did was cold-blooded murder, in my opinion. He's not speaking on that. He's speaking on him. He don't like how he looks to the public. He doesn't like how what people are saying about him. Okay, so it's all about him. And so this is really important for any young ladies that come across this case. It's not worth it to get caught up in your emotions, caught up in your feelings, so consumed with jealousy and obsession over another woman that for a man, you would take another woman's life. And now you're going to be sitting behind bars, eating cold bologna sandwiches for another 30, 40 years, 50 years, maybe more. So it's not worth it because he's going to move on with his life. Okay. You're going to forever have to live with the regret of what you did, because soon this case is going to die down and she's going to be sitting in that cold cell having to think about what she did. And now her supporters are, the free Holly and the white hearts and all of that. And it's big right now. But when it dies down, she's going to have to sit in the reality of what she did. And as she sits in the reality of what she did, she's eventually going to eventually, this is my belief, come to a conclusion that, damn, I'm really in here. For a majority of I'm really in here and I can't get out. They're going to tell me when to eat. They're going to control the conditions of my sleep, my living arrangements. I can't experience life. I can't go on vacation. I'm going to miss my kids' graduations. I'm going to miss their first dates. I'm going to miss their prom, all because of a man that she really wasn't in a committed relationship with. Okay. I want to show y'all something because I want to show you guys something because we're going to go over these orders of protection. When you look at the orders of protection, and shout out to my source, when you really look over this documentation, which I was up early this morning doing, you really get a clearer picture that this girl was not fearing for her life, y'all. This girl was not in any serious danger against Romika. When you look at the orders, when I tell you that all of the stuff that this girl was saying in court, all of the things that she was saying about Romika were so minuscule and petty. And to this day, we don't know if these things are true. This girl, in my opinion, and of course, I just went ahead and I read the the disclaimer. Everything is alleged. Some things are my opinion, some things are fact. Everything in this live stream is for entertainment purposes only. But my opinion is that this girl went to obtain a restraining order to unalive Romika, and she thought that it was going to protect her once she unalived her. Period, point blank. I'm looking at the documents right here, and I think that anybody looking at this would say that that's exactly what she was trying to do. She went to court in December initially to get the emergency order. She went back in January. She went back in February. She went back in March. She went back in May. She went back in June. She went back in July. The only month that she missed was April. This girl went to court and all for a restraining order against somebody that she never met and that she never proved was actually stalking her. Let's read those months again. If this is not obsession, I don't know what is. I could see going to get an order of protection because somebody's showing up at your job, because somebody beat you up, because somebody is showing up at your child's school, because somebody is showing up at your home, somebody is throwing eggs at your house, or whatever. This girl has never been in contact with her. When you look at it, you could just and read the transcripts. The urgency in what she's saying is so crazy because it's not matching what is happening in the moment. She's super urgent to get this order of protection. It's like she's hurrying up. Like, when am I going to get it? Did you guys serve it? Did you all serve it yet? It's like she wanted to get that order, but it wasn't because Romika was physically in person trying to stalk her. It wasn't because of those reasons. So there's a reason why Quadeja was so thirsty to try to get this order of protection, y'all. It's very weird. From who goes to court over somebody that they never seen in person, who's been calling them through third parties? Who goes to court December, January, February, March, May, June, July? The girl was obsessed. I'm sorry. It wasn't that serious. Rich said having to deliver that child incarcerated is going to be a reality check times 1,000. It really is. It really is. I don't know how long they allow you to keep your child in jail, but yeah, the longer she's sitting there, the more it's going to hit her that she's not going anywhere. Every time one of those motions get denied, which they will be denied every time. They're going to be denied every time because her attorney does not have any groundbreaking evidence that's going to dismantle the state's claims. They can't dismantle what the state is saying. So she's not going anywhere. At this point, people were a little iffy about it because the initial judge ordered for her to be detained. But then they switched judges. So people were looking like, it could be a possibility that she may be released because this is a different judge. I knew that it was a small chance because oftentimes a judge is not going to overrule his colleague. If a judge has already decided that the state has shown clear and convincing evidence that this young lady is a danger to the community, there is very unlikely that his colleague is going to come behind him and say, oh, we'll release you. It typically doesn't work that way. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at the initial appearance that Holly Johnson made on December 4th of 2024. Now, this is when she went in to try to obtain her emergency order of protection, okay? I want you guys to pay attention to something that is very key in this documentation, you guys. That I think, to me, it says a lot. It says a lot. So let's get into it. Obviously, this is December 4th, 2004, Quadeja versus Romika. Romika was not present at this hearing. Okay. It says the petitioner is appearing pro se without an attorney. Okay. The court is calling the case of Quadeja Johnson, common spelling, against Romika L. Blackman. He says, stand right there. Good morning. Can you say, so I'm going to ask you some questions. First, I'm going to swear you in, and you have to keep your voice up because the court reporter is going to take down everything that you're saying. Quadeja says, okay. The court says, raise your right hand. And then we know what she says after that. She's sworn in. Now let's get into the examination by the court. Can you say your name for the record? Quadeja Johnson is what she says. Okay, and you're the petitioner against Romika Blackman in request for the petition for an emergency stalking no contact order. Is that correct? She says correct. The court says, okay, and you filled that out with the help of the court advocates, this petition. Is that correct? Quadeja says correct. The court says, did you have a chance to go over it after it was filled out? and see that you signed it on the last page? Quadeja says yes. The judge says, is everything in here after you checked it true and accurate? Quadeja says yes. The judge says, okay, I read what you said here, so let me ask a few questions. Who is Romika? Quadeja said, Romika is my child's father's baby mother. The judge says, okay, so you have a child with the gentleman, correct? Quadeja says, yes, Carlos Smith. It's in the statement. The judge says, so Carlos Smith, you have a child with Carlos Smith? Quadeja said, yeah. The court said, and Romika is his current girlfriend. Quadeja said, no, that's his baby mother, his first. The judge says, oh, his first baby's mom. Quadeja said, yeah. The judge says, okay. Quadeja then says, and I'm his second baby's mom. The judge says, gotcha. And I read a whole string of things here where you're saying that Romika is calling you and texting other people and threatening you in some way. Quadeja says, correct. The judge says, do you want to summarize all of that and tell me what's been going on here and for how long? Quadeja says, she has been basically stalking me since February of 2004. She's been contacting me all on social media accounts, Instagram, TikTok. But I changed my voicemails, calling me unknown number to show who's actually calling me private. The judge says, okay. Okay, you guys should be able to hear me now. Okay, so I'm gonna go back up. I'm gonna wait till somebody tells me in the chat where I left off at, so I can go back up. Now, I'm just waiting to see where I left off at because I don't know. I was reading and didn't realize y'all couldn't hear me. So as soon as somebody puts in the chat where I left off, then I will go back up and start back where I cut off at, and start back there and continue to read. So just anybody, put in the chat where you stopped hearing me at what point. Or I could just go back up to the top. And I don't want to have to do that. So if you guys could let me know. I'm looking at the chat. Let's see. 7. Oh, number 7. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so let's go back up. So let's just say we'll start at 4. Okay. So the court says, okay, and you know her, you've met her in person before? Quadeja says, no, I've never met her in person, only heard her voice from calling me on Instagram and calling my phone. The judge says, well, how do you know that it's her that's doing it if you've never met her in person before? Quadeja says she stated her name. I got a recording of her saying her name. Yeah, okay. The judge says, okay, and what's the name and what she's saying in these, generally what she's saying? Quadeja says, she's saying when she sees me, she's going to bust my head wide open. Yesterday, she called my grandmother and said she's going to kill me. She's called and left voicemail saying she's going to kill me. She texted my phone from different text apps. The judge says, any idea why this started back in February? Quadeja says, no. I think it's an obsession. Or maybe she's upset that I'm having a baby. The judge says, okay. Quadeja says, I mean, she wished death on me and my son. She said she hoped me and my child died in the delivery room. The judge says, okay, so this call to your grandmother happened yesterday. Is that right? Quadeja said, correct. The judge says twice, and they asked for, it says, is it Esther Johnson? Is that your grandmother, I assume? Quadeja says yes. The judge says, and it says, I'm going to kill your granddaughter, Quadeja. Is that correct? Y'all, this is so silly. Quadeja said, correct. The judge says, and your grandmother told you this or you heard this? And then Quadeja says, my grandmother told me. She called me right after and told me. The judge says, and how did she know it was Romika doing this? This is so silly. Oh my God, y'all. So the judge says, how did she know it was Romika doing this? Quadeja says she heard her voice. The judge says, but how does she know it's Romika? Quadeja says, no, but I have multiple recordings of her conversations on my phone, so we know how she sounds. The judge says, so it was back in November that there was a prior time where she liked a video and then you immediately blocked her on TikTok. Is that correct? And Quadeja says, correct. The judge says, and then back on November 8th, it says she reached out to you, your close friend Rebecca, by phone saying she's going to beat your ass. Is that correct? Quadeja says, correct. The judge says, and on November 7th, you say that Romika called from an unknown phone multiple times that day and her son's cell phone, and your app told you that it was her number? And Quadeja says, correct. Yes, and I have proof of that. The judge says, and then it goes back several times in October, several times in September, several times in August, all threatening you. The chat says, did she show the receipts to the court? Because I think you need to show evidence. She did not ever show receipts to the court, hon. I'm going to go ahead. Let me pin this. Well, you guys see the comment at the bottom. She did not show receipts to the court, hon. A preponderance of evidence in court oftentimes can just simply be testimony in Illinois. In Illinois, you do not have to show receipts unless the person comes and defends themselves against you. In this case, Romika never did. She only came to court once, and when the order was granted, Romika wasn't there. So she was granted the order by default, but we're going to get to that. So no, ma'am. She did not show any evidence. Okay. So back, where was I? Okay. So, and then Quadeja says, correct. The judge says, and you've never seen her in person, correct? Quadeja says, correct. The judge says, you changed your number, correct? Quadeja says, correct. The judge says, okay, anything else you want to tell me about this? Quadeja said that she texted my mom, and I have the screenshot of her texting my mom looking for me. She put, I go by the name of Holly, and she texted my mom, Holly, ? But my mom never responded back to the text message. The judge says, I've got an important question for you that I should have asked you in the beginning. Any other cases between the two of you going on right now? Let me stop here. You guys, the judge doesn't believe her. I have enough experience, just due to my field, I have enough experience with the courts to where just by reading this, I could tell the judge does not believe her. Okay. The judge is assessing the situation. He understands that this is a baby mama, baby daddy thing. He doesn't believe her. But that's just my opinion. So just keep listening, y'all. So the judge is asking, do you all have any other cases between the two of you going on right now? Quadeja says no. The judge says she doesn't have a case against you somewhere. Because the reason why, in my opinion, the judge is asking that is because Quadeja seems like the stalker. Quadeja seems like the problem. What she's saying sounds like a lie. And oftentimes when people come, especially the baby mama thing, when people come into court and then they try to get an order of protection on somebody else, they're doing it because it's called what you call legal harassment. She's not being stalked here, but let's continue. Okay. So the judge asked her again, so she don't have a case against, because the judge is assuming that the girl that she's talking about here probably got a case against her. Because this is silly, right? So the judge asked, so she don't have a case against you somewhere? Quadeja said no. The judge says that you're aware of. She said no. And so then Quadeja said, have you ever had a case with her before where you filed for a stalking order or she filed one against you? And so Quadeja said, no, this is the first. Do you see how many times he asked her? He asked her about 3 or 4 different times in different ways, does she have an order against you, in so many words? Okay, because she seems like the nutcase. Because what she's coming into court reporting, it just don't make no sense. So Quadeja said, no, this is the first. So the court says, okay, having heard all the evidence and the sworn testimony in reading the petition, I find that at this time that on an emergency basis, this is not sufficient evidence. This is not a sufficient emergency to justify an emergency stalking, no contact order to be issued. So I'm going to deny it on an emergency basis. However, if you still want to go forward with this, she can be notified and the sheriff will go out and serve her with it. And then you guys come back here and have a hearing on it at that time. Do you still want that? Want to do that? Okay, let me stop here before I move on. The judge does not think that what Quadeja came in there and reported is serious enough to grant her an emergency order of protection. Okay? And this is important because not only is this judge saying this, but I predict, and I'm pretty sure that any judge that would have heard this would have denied her an emergency order of protection. Her life is not in danger. She's never met Romika in person. They've never been in each other's presence. It's petty back and forth, it sounds like. And guess what? Holly is now in jail, getting ready to fight for her life on a first-degree murder charge. And that judge is also going to say that this was petty back and forth. And not only did she not deserve an emergency stalking order of protection, but she also does not deserve to be released from prison, from jail. Okay? Not only was this not enough for an emergency order of protection, but this was not enough to shoot and kill somebody. Okay? Do y'all hear what she's complaining about? And then there's no proof or evidence of it. If there was proof or evidence that that girl texted Romika or called Romika or left voicemail saying that she was going to kill her and her child, the judge would have given her an emergency order of protection immediately. And those would have been criminal charges. Immediately. She showed no proof, no evidence of any of this actually happening. If she had shown proof and evidence of it, she wouldn't have had to keep saying, I have voicemails too. Because the judge would have had it already. I got a screenshot, but you're not showing it. You're saying you have evidence. You're saying you have proof, but you're not showing it. She texted my mom yesterday. My grandmama told me this is all bullshit. These judges are not dumb. Okay? The judge denied her emergency order. Okay? But he says, however, if you still want to go forward with this, because he don't even think that she should, it's dumb as hell. She can be notified and the sheriff would go out and serve her with it. And then you guys could come back here and have a hearing on it at that time. Do you still want to do that? He's asking her, do you, if somebody is coming in saying they need an emergency order of protection, that their life is being threatened through voicemails, text messages, that family members are being contacted, and that somebody is plotting to kill them, do you think that any judge in America would be this lackluster? Do you think any judge in America would be this calm and don't give a damn? This judge does not care. And even ask her, do you still want to do it? Because it's silly. That's not a question that you ask somebody who is clearly their life is being threatened. Do you still want? Of course I do. He's asking her because it's dumb. It's dumb. So the petitioner, who is Quadeja, when she says, do you still want to, he said, when the judge says, do you still want to do this? Quadeja said, yes, I'm fearing for my life and my child's life. The judge says, okay, fair enough. What day? The advocate, who's the person that's helping out with Quadeja, helping Quadeja get the order, says the 19th judge. The court says December 19th, 1219, petition to continue to serve the respondent. He says, I see a big flaw here, though. You didn't put an address down here for Romika Blackman. Quadeja says, I don't know her address. She just currently moved into a new place. She's stalking her, y'all. She is stalking Romika, y'all. Just pay attention. Because what the judge could have did is said, how do you know so much about this lady that you've never met? She currently just moved into a new place. November 15th. She knows when she moved into her new apartment. How? How do you know this stuff about this lady that you don't care about, that's bothering you? Look what he says next. You don't know what it is? Quadeja says, no, my child's father won't give me the address. Even Carlos won't give Quadeja the address. Carlos is refusing to give Quadeja the address to his first baby mother's residence. He does not trust her with the address. Carlos knows, I'm sure, that Quadeja is trying to get an order of protection against Romika and would need her address. Carlos is refusing back in December of 2024 to give Psychodrama, aka Holly, his baby mother's address. So I gotta at least give him just a smidge, not much, of credit for that, because he knows he knew better than to give Quadeja her address. If you don't think that Quadeja is a danger and that Romika is the danger, then what's the problem with giving Quadeja the address? Because if you trust that she's not going to go over there and do something to your child or to Romika, then you would give her the address because you know she's just trying to get an order of protection. But Carlos would not even give her the address. Listen to the rest of this. Listen to this. No, my child's father won't give me the address. The judge says, because this is a civil case, so like in any civil case, when you sue someone for damaging your car or any kind of civil case, similar in that regard. So in a civil case, when you file a lawsuit against somebody, which this is kind of like a lawsuit in a way, you have to notify the person that you're going against that you have this thing going on, right? Quadeja says, The judge says, so the sheriff has to go out and be able to serve. Like, even if I would have granted it today, the person still would have to be served. So we have to find out where this person is, because they can't very well come to court and know you're trying to get a stalk and no contact order against them unless they're notified of it in some way. So I don't know what we do. Listen to this, y'all. Listen to this. I don't know what we do in these situations, Sonia. I think Sonia is the advocate. I don't know if there's anybody. Did the advocates help you fill this out? Quadeja said yes. The judge says they're not magicians, so maybe they can help you investigate it. The advocate says she can try whatever and email the phone number. Quadeja says, I gave her the phone number that I have. The judge says, okay. Quadeja says that she called up yesterday. The judge says, all right, well, I'm going to continue it for December 12th for hearing for status on service. You're going to have to continue to work with the advocates to use the best of your ability to try to find an address for this person, because the sheriff's not going to go out and try to serve the person until you give an address of some sort. Okay? She says, Quadeja says, so they don't have any system. If I gave her first and last name and date of birth, they don't have any system to see what's on her driver's license. This girl is crazy. This girl is insane. I don't care what anybody says. She is trying everything in her power to get this piece of paper for a reason, because the reason is not that she feared for her life, because this is the dumbest shit that I've ever heard. I've never heard. This is the dumbest shit that I've ever heard somebody go to court and get an order of protection for. You're going to court to get an order of protection against somebody calling your grandmother, third-party calls, allegedly texting you from text now numbers and the son's phone, but voicemail, but you're not giving them any evidence of it though. This is all word of mouth. She is doing this for a reason, y'all. Common sense. She's trying. I'm gonna say it. Before I keep reading, I'm gonna tell you again. She went to court every month except for April to get this piece of paper. Romika ends up dead 2 months later, a month and a half later. Romika ended up dead. She went to court from December all the way to July, from December 24 to July 25. They finally gave it to her in July. Romika ended up dead a month and a half later. Make it make sense. Romika stayed alive long enough until she got the order. Then she dead a month and a half later. Make it make sense. Listen to this. The judge says you're going to have to ask the advocates and the police for that, because she's asking them. Now listen to this. Romika's the stalker, but Quadeja has her first and last name, her birthday. Why do you know this information about this lady? And how come when Romika went to the hospital after the day that she was murdered on September 8th, that she went to the hospital with the wrong birthday and the wrong first and last name? You had the right first and last name when you went to court on December 4th. You had the right address when you went to court on December 4th. How the hell do you know her first and last name and birthday? But when they took her after you killed her on September 8th, they had a fake birthday and a fake first and last name when you in court saying that you know all her information. How come you didn't know her? How come nobody knew her information the day that she was killed? Why is that? Oh, okay. So she's asking them, do they have a system, because she can give the courts Romika's first, last name, and date of birth with her weird ass. Okay, she's a fucking weirdo. I'm just getting. Why do you know all this? We gonna read the rest of it because Romika came to court one time in June. Romika said, "I don't even know this damn girl. She didn't know nothing about the damn girl. Nothing." The judge says you're going to have to ask the advocates and the police for that. Well, not the police, because they're not able to help you. Perhaps, I don't know. I never had to do that, so I don't know. But I know the Secretary of State is not going to give you somebody's address. The advocates, they know, because this is not the first time they have to deal with it. They can give you methodologies to figure out how to do your due diligence, which means try as hard as possible, as they possibly can, to get the person's address. Quadesia says, okay. The judge says, and then you will have to give the address, and as soon as you get the address, then they can put it on an actual piece of paper on the affidavit. And then once you do that, the sheriff is happy to go out there to that address, and they will find her, and they hand her the thing that they say you have to come to court on December 19th, okay? Listen to this. I want everybody to lean in. Lean in now. Put your ear to the speaker on the phone and listen to what Quadesia said next. Quadesia then says, what about if I give them her son's school address? Hold on, you guys. Did you guys hear that? I just want to make sure everybody heard that. Did y'all hear that? He says the advocate is going to help you try to find her address so we can get her served. That's the only way this is going to work, so that she can know to come to court. What if I give you guys her son's school address? Quadesia, my dear, love, you had that boy's school on your mind all the way in December of 2024. Very, 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 very much so aware. We knew that you knew the boy's school anyway, but the fact that you're bringing up her son's school in December of 2024, the same place that you sat across the street from in September 8th of 2025 and murdered her. You brought up her son's school in December 2024, Quadesia. My love, you was thinking about her son's school in December of 2024. Very interesting, very sinister that you would be thinking about her son's school and serving an order of protection to her son's school in December of 2024, only to kill her in front of her son's school September of 2025. And you expect for us to believe that it was a coinky dink that you parked across the street from her son's school the day that you murdered her. I'm gonna need y'all to lean in a little bit. Lean in a little bit. You knew her first. So when y'all say that Romika shouldn't have been where she was, Romika had every right to be where she was. She saw her son's father parked across the street from her son's school. She pulled up behind her son's father. When she got out, she probably saw Holly, and that's probably how it started. But Holly, you knew very well the dangers of doing what you did. You knew very well that you were sitting across the street from her child's school. You mentioned it on court documentation that you had knowledge of her child's school in December of 2024 because you wanted the order served to her child's school, which is the craziest shit I've ever heard, but whatever. You wanted it served to her child's school in December of 2024. And we supposed to believe that you coincidentally and you were completely unaware and wasn't thinking about Romika the day that you parked across the street from there. Yeah, all right. So, and the judge is almost entertaining it, but she says, what about if I give them her son's school address? Weird bitch. That's how I feel about her. Weird bitch. The court says it's something. That's kind of a tough one because if you know a place she works or something like that, but like the school address, I don't know. I don't know how the sheriffs operate, whether they're going they may have to do so. They're going to go and try to do it at that moment when they go out there. So if the person is not there, they're going to have to come back and say we didn't find her. He doesn't want to serve. He doesn't want to have to send a sheriff to a child's school for the mother. Number one, that's embarrassing. Okay. Now you doing too much. That's a lot. That's like a last resort type of shit. You know what I'm saying? Quadasia says, okay. The judge says the school is a little, it's a good idea. It's just a little tougher because you don't know the 100% exact time she would be there. So I'm going to tell you the same thing. I tell everyone, whether I grant an order of protection or a stalking order or anything, if you feel in fear of your safety at that moment, the police are there to help you. That's what they're for. In December of 2024, a judge told you that you should call the police if you feel that you are in danger. If you feel that you are in danger, you're to call the police, whether an order is granted or not. Okay? You were expected on the day of September 8th to call the police, and you did not one time. The judge on December of 2024 said, I tell everyone whether I grant a stalking order of protection, whether I grant an order of protection or a stalking order or anything. If you feel in fear for your safety at that moment, the police are there to help you. That's what they're for. That's what the judge said. The judge didn't say, if you feel in fear for your safety, pull out a gun and shoot her. That's not what the judge said to do, Quadasia. The judge told you need to call the police. Whether you have this piece of paper or not right now with the stalking no contact order, it's the same thing. So if you feel in danger for your safety, call the police. Call the police. And they will deal with it, whether there's a stalking no contact order or not. Okay? And I think the judge is really getting to the point where he's like, first of all, he refused to give her an emergency order because this is not grounds for an emergency order. It's petty. But the judge is being nice to her and is telling her whether you have a piece of paper or not, you do realize you could still call the police. She never mentioned anywhere while she was in court that she ever called the police on Romika. She never, ever, ever mentioned in court that she ever had to call the police on Romika. Oftentimes, before you go get an order of protection or a stalking order or anything of that nature, you would have called the police by then. I would have had to call 911 on your ass at some point by then. You see what I'm saying? If it was so serious that I had to go to court, at some point in time, I should have had to contact the police at a certain point. No record of any police phone calls have been made. Okay. So she says, okay. The judge says, okay, sit tight for a moment and you will get a copy of the order, okay? Quadasia says, Judge, what will happen on December 19th? The judge says, well, you have some work to do. Now, to try and get that, let's pretend that you find the address for her. Quadasia says, before December 19th? The judge says, well, right, like as soon as possible. Like start the minute you walk out of here and try to use the methods to try to find that out. And then you'll communicate that through the advocates. Then they can put on the affidavit or the summons, they can put the address. And as soon as you get that, then the sheriffs go out within like 24 hours or something like that after that. And then they go and try to start serving the person. So the hope is you're going to get an address, you're going to communicate it. The sheriff will go out there, and on the 19th, hopefully we'll get proof that the sheriff actually served the person with the paperwork. And then she will be notified to be here on the 19th. So on the 19th, especially since you told me there's a lot of evidence that you have, you're going to want to, aside from getting the address, you will want to prepare your case because you're going to be on that side telling the judge on that day everything that happened. So the judge is saying, this is what the judge is doing, right? So the judge denied her emergency order protection. The judge is denying to giving her the order of emergency emergency stalking order. I'm sorry, because he's giving Romika a chance to come into court. So they set another court date for a status, okay, to see if she found Romika's address first. So Romika would then come into court and she would defend herself against the claims. Because you're coming in getting the emergency stalking order, you've never contacted the police. All of it is petty as hell. All of it seems to be anonymous, third party, a bunch of bullshit. So the judge is not going to order her an emergency order for that, right? So he wants to give Romika a chance to come in and defend herself against what Holly is saying. Notice that the judge is also telling her, you saying that there's a lot of evidence, meaning you're saying that you have a lot of evidence, but he hasn't seen the evidence. So he's saying you're going to want to, aside from getting the address, you will want to prepare your case because you're going to be on that side telling the judge on that day everything that happened. And it's your burden, as they say. It's your responsibility, in other words, to prove that you're entitled to this emergency stalking no contact order under the law. And you're going to use all these things that you just told us about and how you can link it up to her doing these things that make you in fear for your safety. So whether it's text messages, videos, recordings, live witnesses, whatever you want to use, that's going to put your best foot forward. So that judge is going to say, yes, I think what you're saying is accurate and it falls within the law. So that's what you're going to want to do, because she will have an opportunity to give her version of events. And I don't want that was what she's going to say. And I don't know what she's going to say. So she might say it wasn't me. It's not the way it says. It's not the way it says. And then she will have to show her proof to show why the judge will say, no, I am not going to grant this. It's like a mini trial. Quadeja says, okay. So for the people that are saying that she showed evidence, I don't see that she showed evidence in any of these documents. The judge then says, it seems like you're able to tell the facts. You're an intelligent person. Just have it all laid out so that you're prepared to explain it to the judge on that day in a very detailed way. Quadeja says, okay, thank you. The judge says, sure. Case adjourned. But what sticks out to me the most is the fact that this is not a coincidence, okay? Hold on one second, y'all. Let me answer this. Hold on one second. My bad, y'all. The thing to me that is the most telling is that she had the son's school on her mind way back then. Way back then. See, the thing about it is she couldn't keep track of Romika. She even knew that Romika had just moved, and she knew that Romika moved November 18th, the exact date that Romika moved out of her home. Now, this is someone that she's claiming is stalking her. Now, see, this is another reason why I believe the judge didn't grant it. You know an awful lot about this lady that you've never met. You know her birthday. You know her first and last legal name. You don't know her address as of now, but you know her son's address. And then you knew her previous address because you said that she just moved. And you know the date that she moved. How do you know all this stuff about this person that you're not researching? How do you know all this stuff about this person that you have no interest in and that you're trying to get away from, but they're stalking you? If I'm not interested in this person and they're stalking me and I'm not worried about them, why would I know their birthday? Why would I know their first and last name? Why would I know the date that they moved out of their home? Why would I know about their son's address? Why would I be trying to get this bullshit order served to their son's school? And then just so ironically, you kill her at her son's school across the street from it anyway. You sitting right there outside her son's school trying to act innocent. It was a whole setup, in my opinion. It's not a coincidence that this girl happened to live all the way up until you got the order in your hand. And y'all don't think that she did that on purpose? So Romika stayed alive December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July. She had court dates all up and through there every single month except for April. She finally gets the order granted in July. Romika ended up dead a month and a half later. She lived for all of those months. But as soon as Quadeja got that piece of paper in her hand, a month and a half later, she dead. In my opinion, Quadeja was trying to secure everything that she needed to secure. She wanted to get everything legally in her hand so that she could murder her. It couldn't be more clear that she was trying to create a paper trail. Okay, so we went over the December 4th. I need somebody to take a screenshot of this for me. Post it everywhere you can post it. Take a screenshot of this right here. Petitioner, who is Quadeja Johnson. What about if I give them the address to her son's school? Take a screenshot of that for me. All the CCs that's in here listening, everybody that's following this case, supporters, take a screenshot of that. I need that to go viral. I need that part right there to go viral. Please take a screenshot of that. Share it everywhere. The young lady in Chicago, Illinois, Quadeja Johnson, that killed that girl across the street from her son's school. Oh, she was talking about her son's school in court December of 2024. Right, the day that she went to go get an order, the piece of paper that she needed to kill Romika with, she was talking about that in court in December. She was talking about the National Teachers Academy in court December 2024. So let's go ahead and pull this down. This bitch something else. No, Illinois does not offer the death penalty, unfortunately. So let's go ahead and pull this down. So the next court date that Quadeja went to, let's see, was in January. Okay. So this is the next one that the stalker went to. I mean, I'm talking about she was relentless every month, all the way from December 24th to July. She was in court trying to get this order every single month, except for April. Relentless, obsessed. Now this is the January. Okay, we did December. Now she back in court in January. The judge, Johnson versus Blackman. Quadeja, unmute and turn on your camera. Quadeja says, yes, I'm here. The judge said, good afternoon, ma'am. Could you state your name for the record, please? Petitioner, Quadeja Johnson. The court, you obtained or you filed for a stalking no contact order December 4th. Do you wish to move forward with your case? Quadeja says yes. The judge says it does not look like the respondent has been served yet by the sheriff. I asked you on the last court date to conduct a diligent search to try and find where the respondent may be staying. Did you engage in that search? Quadeja said yes. I called the number and I gave them an address that I had. I found that maybe she was at, and that's it. I don't know. The judge says, when you say you called, who did you call? The sheriff? Quadeja said, yes, the sheriff. The judge says, the sheriff's number? Okay. And when did you do that? Quadeja says, maybe 2 weeks ago. The judge says, do you still have that address? Quadeja says, yes, I think I have it in my notes. The judge says, can you pull out your notes and chat? Do you know how to chat on Zoom? Quadeja says, yes. The judge says, with my court coordinator, who's listed as aide, Can you chat that address to her once you find it in your notes? So what I'm going to do, I will give the sheriffs a little more time to try to do service. So I will extend this to your petition to February 18th. Let me know if that works for you. That's a Tuesday. Quadeja said, you said February 18th. The judge says, yes. Does that work? Quadeja says, yes. What time? The judge says 1:30, and you can appear by Zoom if that's easiest for you. Make sure you hang up. Make sure before you hang up my coordinator that address. Okay. Quadeja says, okay. The judge says, then we will see you on the 18th. Alias summons to issue. Quadeja says, if I get another address, am I able to send it or just call the sheriff's department? This girl is desperate. She is really wanting to serve this person that she's never seen before. Who is that? The judge says the best people to call is the sheriff's department. I want to make sure that we get it in our records as well. That's why I'm asking you to chat it to us. But the best person always to call if you get a new address or some new information, even the full birthday of the individual, is to call the sheriff's department. Quadeja says, I gave you guys the full birthday last court date. The judge says, you did. You're right. I do have that. I'm sorry. Quadeja says, June 2nd, 1994. This girl is crazy. She's crazy, y'all. I could just tell. I wanted to add it. I don't know if I can add to it. She wants to add more stuff. She's still making threats to my friend. She's calling my friend's phone Friday, December 22nd. She called my friend's phone private, making threats against me and my child. The judge says that's why it's important to try to get her served so she can get a copy of the petition and we can move forward with your hearing, okay? Quadeja says, okay. The judge says, we will see you on the 8th. Okay, and then that's it. Okay, now that one was in January. Now let's go to the one in February, okay? She had to go through a lot to get this order of protection against Romika. Okay, the courts knew that this was bullshit. She's on a mission. She was on a mission to get this piece of paper. And my God, once she got it, she did what she wanted to do with it. Okay, so now this is the one of February 18th of 2025. Now we already read December, January. Now we're in February. The judge says Quadeja Johnson versus Romika Blackman. Ms. Johnson, go off mute, please. Can you hear us? Okay. Quadeja says yes. The judge said you filed a petition on January 16th against the respondent. Do you wish to move forward with your case? Quadeja said yes. I guess I'm still trying to get her served. I already sent the address. I don't know what's taking so long for her to get served. I mean, she wants her to get that paper. Quadeja needs Romika to get that piece of paper in her hand. Holly needs for Romika to get that piece of paper in her hand. She need her to have it. You see how urgent, how desperate she is here? She needs her to have the paper in her hand. She wants her served. She wants it official. She needs it to be official. Okay? I don't know what's taking so long for her to get served. The judge says, what address do you have for her? Quadeja says 8114 Ingleside. The judge says, is that the address you have? Sonia? Sonia's the court reporter. The court coordinator. Sonia says, we still have 1403 East 71st Street. The judge says, okay, what's the street address you saw? Quadeja says 8114. Hold on. Let me double check. 8114 Ingleside, I believe. The judge said, is that in Chicago? Quadeja said, yes. Okay, yes, it is 8114 Ingleside Avenue, apartment 3, Chicago, Illinois, zip code 60619. The judge says, I think at least the court had, and you might have told the sheriff something which could have be the better person to tell. We still had the South Laughlin Avenue address. Then Quadeja says, maybe it's not updated in your system, but I called the sheriff's department last week with the updated. And they said they made 3 attempts already. They said they rung the doorbell, but maybe the doorbell doesn't work. I'm trying to see like if they catch her coming out the building or something. This is insane, y'all. Y'all, this listen, y'all. Let me say this. She said maybe if they catch her coming out the building. Let me say this, y'all. If somebody is ever seeking an order of protection or any type of legal service on you, order of protection, a stalking order, anything like that, never avoid service. Always go to court, because once someone gets that order on you, they're creating a paper trail. And if anything is to ever happen to you, that's going to be their documentation that they did what they had to do. See, look, I have an order against her. See, look, and obviously it doesn't work because she's sitting in jail now with first-degree murder charges. So obviously it doesn't work. But always be sure that, because people can go to court and make false claims against you. I don't know about other places, but in the state of Illinois, they can come in and they can say whatever they want to say. They can lie. They can say she's been popping up at my job. She's been doing this and this. But unless you come in and defend yourself, they're not going to force that person to show any evidence. And that's being shown here in this documentation. Quadeja never showed the court any evidence. She never showed them anything. She just said that it happened, which is what the court is going to call a preponderance of evidence. So you said it happened. She's not here. So we're going to order a default, which means you have the preponderance of evidence because she's not here. So always remember that, y'all, because your life could be in danger. If you have someone that's bothering you, but then they turn around and get an order of protection against you, but they stalking you, that means that your life may be in danger. So always go to court if somebody gets an order of protection, because what they'll do, especially in the state of Illinois and maybe other states, they will give that person a default order against you. And so now you're walking around minding your business, and the whole time somebody got an order of protection against you. Be careful with that, okay? Always go to court. So she says, can they catch her coming out of her building? The judge says, here's what I'm going to do, because we don't have updated information quite yet. I'm going to continue your petition so the sheriff can make another service to the Ingleside address. Then when we come back here, we'll see where we are in terms of service. Ma'am, why do you think the respondent is at this address on Ingleside? She lives there. I got a piece of mail with her name on it. Now listen, this girl is stalking Romika, in my opinion. Okay. A lot of people felt like Carlos gave Quadeja that piece of mail. I'm not here to defend Carlos at all. Okay. I think he's a narcissist, and I think that he was playing with both of them. However, I don't think he gave her the mail. I think that Carlos was still messing with Romika. Romika was still messing with Carlos. Romika probably been over Carlos' house and left her bag there, or left a piece of mail at his house, or whatever the case is. I think Quadeja came over to Carlos' house and found a piece of mail with Romika's name on it and took it, or took note of it. And that's how she got her address. That's what I believe. I don't think that Carlos gave her the mail. The reason I say that is because in the court date in December, the initial court date, she said, my baby daddy will not give me Romika's address. He wouldn't give it to her for a reason. Okay? He would not give Quadeja Romika's address. Why not? If Romika is the problem, and Romika is doing the stalking, and Holly is the innocent bystander, and she just wants to be left alone, she's not going to use that address for anything malicious. Then why not give her the address so that she can get her order and they can stay away from each other? Carlos would not give Holly Romika's address for a reason. He know the bitch crazy, period. And he was right, because look what she did on September 8th. That's very telling that your baby daddy would not share the address with you when he knows that you're trying to do something legal with it. You're not trying to stalk her with it. You're not trying to harm her with it. You're not trying to hurt her with it, allegedly. You're just using it for legal purposes. So why would he not give you the address? And that will fix everything. Now both of y'all can stay away from each other. It's a reason why Carlos felt like, no, Quadeja, I'm not giving you the address to Romika's new place. Or to her old place for that matter, because she moved a couple times. He wouldn't give her any information about Romika to get the order. I'm just saying. So hey, it's right there in black and white. Quadeja said it. My baby daddy won't give me her address. Can we serve Romika at her son's school? I hope y'all took that screenshot, because I'm going to upload it on my social media on Facebook and on my community wall on YouTube, where it shows that she was stalking that girl and that she mentioned National Teachers Academy. She mentioned the boys' school in December of 2024. She lives there. I got a piece of mail with her name on it. The judge said, did I say thank you to thank you, Tammy. This is so sad. All of this for a man, and we going down, and he going down too. She should have invested time into herself. I agree. Tanya said upper to great. Stupid can't play with smart is what you meant to say. Thank you, Tanya. I appreciate that. I already knew what you meant, Tanya. Thank you. How did you get that piece of mail? Quadeja said we share the same child's father. Okay. In other words, you got it from Carlos' house. That's how I take that. Okay. And then she says, and she just threatened my family and me again February 15th. So I'm really fearing for my life. I don't know what's taking so long for them to serve her. The judge said sometimes, unfortunately, people avoid service. I'm not going to say that that's what's happening here because I don't know the respondent. But what I am going to continue this, what I am going to do is to continue this matter to March 20th at 1:30. Alias summons will issue. Then on the next court date, we will talk about service by publication, which means that she would receive notice by mail as well as a posting in the newspaper that if she doesn't appear by a date certain, then she should be found in default. And if you proved up your case, you could be entitled to a 2-year order of protection, okay? Quadeja says, okay. You said the next court date is March 20th at 1:30? The judge says at 1:30. Quadeja says, okay, so they're going to go out and make an attempt or by mail. Oh my God. The judge says they're going to make a couple of attempts between now and March 20th. Then hopefully there will be service. If there is not service, then on March 20th, I will most likely issue service by publication, which is then that's posted in the paper. And then they get a letter to the address at the Ingleside address. Quadeja said, okay, yes, that's her home address. If you send something in the mail, she'll get it. The judge says, all right, we'll see you on March 20th. Quadeja says, okay, thank you. The judge says, you have a nice day now. Quadeja says, all right. Okay, so this is February. Now in this court date, they're still asking about service. Quadeja is desperately trying to get Romika served. In February is when she mentioned that she had Romika's mail. Judge asked her how she got the mail. She never really explained. Okay. Now we went over December, January, and February. Let's move on to March. She's back in court in March. Okay. The court will call Quadeja Johnson versus Romika Blackman. Quadeja says, I'm here. I'm Quadeja Johnson. The judge says, good afternoon, ma'am. The sheriff has not been able to serve the respondent. Quadeja says, yeah, so they went over to her house. She wouldn't open the door for them. She is avoiding them at this point. The judge says, and was the address the South Ingleside or the 71st Street? Quadeja says Ingleside. The judge says Ingleside, sorry. As we talked at the last court day, because she has been avoiding service, I'm going to order service by publication. So what that means is there is going to be a notice in the local paper as well as a letter sent to her address on Ingleside telling her that she needs to appear in court by a certain date. If she fails to appear or enter an appearance, then she will be found in default, and that would entitle you to up to a 2-year stalking no contact order against her. Do you understand that? Quadeja says, okay, so after today, you all would send something in the mail to her to appear in court? The judge says correct. And there will be an ad in the paper as well. The ad will run for a couple of days. It takes about the 40 to 45 days for this process to go through. And at the end of that, she still does not, if she still does not appear, then she will be subject to default judgment. And then you will be entitled to a longer term stalking no contact order if you establish proof, because right now it's a petition only. Quadeja says, okay, so she don't show up in court. So the default, that means that I will automatically get the stalking order. Listen to her. The judge says, you don't automatically get it because it's a petition only right now. There is no emergency order. So what you would need to do, similar to when you sought the emergency stalking no contact order, is to present evidence as to why you believe you need a longer term order. Then I or whoever is sitting here will make the determination and determine whether a longer term should be entered. Quadeja said, yeah, because she's still stalking me. She's still reaching to people around me. I recently just had a baby. She is threatening to harm me and my baby is just a month old. I just had a baby and she's still harassing me. The judge says, well, first, congratulations on the birth of your child. Quadeja says, thank you. The court says, is your child still as cute as a button? Quadeja says, yes. The court says, okay, good. That is what matters most. So I would save up all of that information. So when you are asked to do a prove up, that is what we call it. You have that information. So if you are keeping maybe a journal or a diary or something, I would encourage you to do that so then you can present that to the court on the date you need to. All right. Quadeja says, okay. And I have screenshots of my family members' call log. Can I use that as well? The judge says, you can use that as well. I would print those out though, as opposed to the judge looking at your phone if you're able to print those. Quadeja says, okay. Now we're in March and she still hasn't actually shown any evidence. She's mentioned several times that she has evidence, but she has not. She's been in court January, February. This is her third time in court. She still hasn't shown anything. Isn't it December, January, February? This is her fourth court appearance, and she still hasn't shown anything. January, February, December, January, February, March. So this is her fourth court appearance. The judge says, and then the other thing is, you have been working with the advocates. Is that right, at the YMCA? Quadeja says, I have not been able to move around because I just had my baby, so I have not really spoken to anyone recently. The judge says, okay, so my court coordinator is going to reach out to you because part of the publication process is you need to sign an affidavit. What I need is your email address so we can send you the affidavit. So whenever you're ready, you can send me your email. Quadeja says, what is the affidavit? What is that? The judge says, sure. So you need to sign an affidavit that basically says that you, through the sheriff's office, have attempted to serve the respondent as much as possible, but she is evading service. So that is why you are doing service by publication. Quadeja says, okay. The judge says, so do you know how to use the chat feature in Zoom? Quadeja says, yes. The judge says, if you can chat your email to my court coordinator, and her identification is Aid. So just chat to Aid your email address and she can use that to send the document, okay? Quadeja said, okay. The judge said, I'm going to continue this on May 15th and should take care of all the publication dates, okay? Quadeja says, I leave on the 15th to go out of town. The judge says, okay, how about the 8th, the week before? Quadeja says, May 8th. The judge says, yes. Does that work? Quadeja said, okay. The judge says it will probably be a date before May 8th that she needs to file an appearance so that is why I want to get through all the publication So that is why I've set it out over 40 days to make sure we get through the publication. Quadesia says, okay. The judge says, okay. Don't log off until you get confirmation from the court coordinator that she has gotten your email address, okay? Quadesia says, okay, and then they end it. Now, this is March. They're still trying to get her served. Quadesia is again making more Quadesia is again saying that more threats are being made via third party, asking does she need to bring in any documentation or proof, okay? The judge is saying that she needs to do something called a prove up, meaning she has to show evidence of where she's being stalked. Because when Romika gets to court, of course, Romika is going to deny those claims. And in order to fight her in court, she's going to have to show those claims. Okay. She's going to have to show evidence of those claims. Now, we looked at December, January, February, March. They never went to court April. Okay, the next court date was May 8th. Now let's pull up what happened on that day. Let's see. Let's get down to, okay, as you can see, this is the court date, May 8th. Judge of said court on the 8th day of May. Okay, let's go down. The judge will call Johnson versus Blackman. Ms. Johnson, can you state your name for the record, please? She said, I'm trying to unmute it. The judge said, you're off mute now. Ms. Johnson, can you state your name for the record, please? Quadesia said, Quadesia Johnson. The court said, all right, thank you. Do I have a Romika Blackman in court? Okay, all right. So Ms. Johnson, the last time we were here, I granted a service by publication. Unfortunately, the publication process is taking longer than I expected, so we're not ready for a default judgment because she still has some time to appear in court, okay? So I need to set this for one more date to see if he keeps saying he, but she obviously means she is going to appear after being fully served by publication, all right? Quadesia says served by publication, putting it in the newspaper. The judge said exactly. What will happen is it will be put in the newspaper as well as a letter sent to his address. So the judge keeps saying him and his because for some reason the judge thinks that Romika is a man. But she's really talking about Romika. Quadesia says, I thought that was already done. So Quadesia's getting impatient. Okay, Quadesia ready to pull that trigger. Okay, she's getting impatient with these niggas. Okay, in this courtroom. Because she wondering what the hell. I thought y'all said y'all was going to do that last time. Okay. The judge says, unfortunately, sometimes the process gets delayed. And so this time it got delayed. So that's why I have to continue it for one more date before we can enter a default if she doesn't appear. Quadesia said, okay. The judge said, I apologize for the delay. I know you have been seeking this order since January. She's going to correct her. Quadesia says since December. The judge says December. I'm sorry. Quadesia says, do you have the right address for it to be sent to, for the letter to be sent to? The judge says, I have the address that you provided to the sheriff's office. So that's the address that we will be sending it to. What is the address that you have? Quadesia said, I think it's 81. Can you hear me? The judge says, yes. 8114 South Ingleside Avenue. Quadesia says yes. The court says that's the address that the sheriff has attempted service and the address that the letter will go to as a part of publication. Quadesia said okay. The judge said okay, so I'm going to continue this. I'm going to continue this to, let's see, are you available on June 18th, which is Wednesday at 1:30? Quadesia said okay. The court says, does that work for you? Quadesia said yes. The judge said all right, so the petition is continued to June 18th. Next court date, June 18th at 1:30. Okay, Quadesia said, all right, thank you. The court said, all right, thank you. And it ends there. Now, the next court date is in June. This is the court date that Romika attended, finally. Now, finally, Romika is in court. Okay. Now, via Zoom. Again, okay, I want to make that clear because they've never met in person until the day that she killed Romika. But this is obviously via Zoom. Now, before we continue with this, let's go back. We've already read over the documentation from December, January, February, March. We read the documentation The court appearances from Quadeja from December, where she initially got the temporary, tried to get the emergency order, but was denied. December, January, February, March, May, June. Now we're in June. Quadeja has been to court 5 times trying to get this order. She was denied for the emergency order. She went back and back and back for statuses. Now she is in court with Romika via Zoom. Okay? She's relentless to get this piece of paper, y'all. So the court will call Quadeja Johnson versus Romika Blackman. Quadeja said, Romika says, Romika, I'm sorry, that's how you say it. The judge says, sorry, ma'am, thank you. Ma'am, state your name for the record, please. Quadeja says, Quadeja Johnson. The judge says, all right, thank you. Romika says, ugly, under her voice, probably. Oh, she called her ugly. She said, ugly. The judge says, Miss Blackman, can you, I don't think the judge heard her say that, so she had to say it under her voice. So the judge says, Miss Blackman, can you state your name for the record, please? Romika says, Romika Blackman. The judge says, thank you very much. So Miss Johnson, drop them pink cards, y'all. That's what I'm talking about. Everybody drop them pink cards for me. So Miss Johnson, you filed a petition for an emergency stalking order in December of last year. It's taken a while for service, but it looks like Miss Blackman is now in court. Miss Johnson, do you wish to move forward with your petition? Quadeja says yes. The judge says, and Miss Blackman, have you been served or been notified that Miss Johnson filed a petition for stalking no contact order against you? Romika says yes. I was notified. Now, mind you, keep in mind, Romika was never served an order of protection. Romika was served in order to appear in court to fight the order of protection. This is where people are getting confused, okay? And we're going to keep reading, and we're going to see why she wasn't served on this day. Romika actually wanted to go get a lawyer, and so the courts was giving Romika time to get an attorney. So when people read this, they get confused and say she was served in court. She was not served in court. She knew that Quadeja was trying to get an order against her, and the judge gave her time to go get an attorney because she requested legal counsel. So they have to give you time to get an attorney. She was not served in June. That is not true. That is a lie. She was in court, but never officially served. Okay? For the people that's confused. Now, so Romika says, yes, I was notified when I tried to actually go put one on her because she knows where I live and knows where I work. So the only reason that Romika knows that she has an order of protection against her is because she was in the process of going to the courthouse to get one against Quadeja. And when she went to the courthouse to get one against Quadeja, she found out that Quadeja was seeking one against her. That is how she discovered it. She found out because she was trying to get one against Quadeja, because Quadeja knows where she lives. She knows where she works. And we know that's true because in the previous court hearing, the status hearing, Quadeja said, I have her address. I know she moved November 18th. I know where I know her first and last name. I know her birthday. Can we serve her at her son's school? She knows everything about Romika. So when people say Quadeja wasn't stalking Romika, Quadeja was stalking Romika. And the only reason that Romika was actually never served, or not served, she was actually never notified of what Quadeja was doing until she went to the courthouse to get an order against Quadeja. That's how she found out that Quadeja had an order against her, because Quadeja was stalking Romika. So Romika had to get an order against her. And when she showed up at the courthouse to get it, she found out Quadeja was already in the process of getting one against her. Y'all following me? Okay. Romika was being stalked. Okay, so She says, yes, I was notified. This is Romika. I was notified when I tried to actually go put one on her because she knows where I live and knows where I work. And I've never seen her seen her in my life. So we share the same child's father. So this is where her energy is coming from. The judge says, okay, let's not do speeches right now. Okay, let's get through what we're doing right now. Okay, so Ms. Johnson, do you plan to continue to represent yourself in this matter? Quadeja says yes. The judge says, okay. And Ms. Blackman, do you plan to represent yourself in this matter, or do you need? Romika says, most likely not. I will probably seek legal counsel. The judge says, so what I will do is give you a short date to find legal counsel, and then we will move forward once counsel appears to set this for a hearing date. Okay? So does Wednesday, July 9th at 1:30 work for all the parties, Ms. Johnson? Romika said, no, it doesn't work for me. I'm in nursing school, and I also work mostly 16-hour shifts. So no, that doesn't work for me. I break from nursing school until August, honestly, because I have to take night classes. The judge says, okay, so we're going to have, so Romika already told the judge that she was not going to be able to make that court date in July because of school. She already told him that's why she couldn't go. So the judge says, okay, so we're going to have to set a date. What date in July works for you? Because we're either going to have to take off a date because we're not going to set this out until August. So Romika told him that she wasn't going to be able to make it in July, but it seems that the judge didn't care and still stuck with July. Okay, so I'm not surprised that Romika never showed up. So Romika says, we can probably do like after the holiday, maybe July 14th or 21st. The judge says, all right, how about July 14th at 1:30? That works for you, ma'am? Romika says, yes. The court says, all right, Ms. Johnson, does July 14th work for you, ma'am? Quadeja says, yes. The judge says, so July 14th at 1:30 for the respondent for attorney. Okay. So basically, y'all, by July 14th, the court would expect Romika to have legal counsel. That's why they have to come back. So let's make it plain. Romika was not served on the day that she showed up to court. Okay. She wasn't served that day. So Ms. Johnson, if you fail to appear, the court will dismiss your order. Ms. Blackman, if you fail to appear, you can have a default order against you, which would entitle Ms. Johnson to a 2-year order against you, okay? Romika said, okay. Quadeja says, do I have to appear in person or over Zoom? Quadeja says, Romika says, because I don't want to be around her. I don't trust her. This is what Romika say. I don't trust her. And she shouldn't have, because she killed her a couple of months after that. The judge says, hold on. Both parties can appear by Zoom on the 14th, okay? Romika says, thank you, perfect. And Quadeja says, and should I bring evidence still? So she's still asking, should she bring evidence? We've been through December, January, February, March, May. This is the 6th court hearing, and she has still not provided any evidence. She still hasn't shown any evidence that she's being stalked by Romika. This is the 6th court date. The last court date, the judge told her she would need to do something called a prove up to show there's evidence that needs to be shown somewhere here, because she hasn't shown any. In 6 court dates, she hasn't shown any documentation or proof, evidence, screenshots, voicemails, voice recordings, phone logs, nothing. But the court says not on the 14th. So what's happening right now is Ms. Blackman wants to seek legal advice for an attorney. Mind you, the reason why she never got her emergency order is because she never showed any documentation. If you go seek an emergency order and print out screenshots that a person is texting you saying they're going to kill you and your baby, do you think that any judge in their right mind would deny that emergency order? It was denied, and she's been to court all of these times because they're not believing this shit, y'all. They're giving Romika a chance to get a lawyer, an attorney. Anyway, so it says, Ms. Blackman wants to seek legal advice for an attorney. So on the 14th, hopefully Ms. Blackman will appear with her attorney. At that date, then I will set it for a hearing after the 14th. And when we set it for a hearing, that's when you bring your evidence, Ms. Johnson. Romika says, as far as witnesses, if they can't appear, can they write a statement if they can't appear? The judge says, Ms. Blackman, hold on one sec. I'll give you an opportunity to ask questions. Ms. Johnson, do you have any other questions? Quadasia says, yes. I also want to know my child was posted. She posted my child maliciously on TikTok. I don't post my son on social media. Romika said, yes, you do. And then they both started talking over each other. So at this point, Romika and Quadasia are arguing back and forth. The judge says, stop. The judge says, Ms. Blackman, you're not doing anything to help your case of why Ms. Johnson needs an order against you, okay? One at a time. Ms. Johnson, if you feel concerned about your child's safety, you can call the police department, okay? I can't help you because it's a petition only at this time. Any other questions, Ms. Johnson? Quadasia says, no. I'm asking about how do I go about pressing charges for my son being posted on social media. The judge says, I will contact the police department or contact the assistant state's attorney office, okay? Quadasia says, okay. The judge says, Ms. Blackman, do you have any questions? Romika says, so yes. She went on social media and spread rumors saying my son has boils, that she knows where I work, that my car broke down. I had to inform my job that someone of her nature might appear. I'm actually moving from my apartment now because she has researched my address. We have a mutual friend where she has called multiple times asking, do I like to fight or anything of that nature? I did seek legal counsel for my child because the child told me he does not like her. And she also went on social media slandering my name. So I'm proceeding on charges against her already. Yes, because she tried to do a lot of slandering. And I've never seen this woman a day in my life. Don't know who she is. We share a child's father. And he even said it's malicious on her end. And y'all, let me stop that because I believe that. I know everybody hate Carlos and everything like that. So rightfully so. But I believe Carlos said it was malicious on her end because in December, when she tried to get the it was January, I believe. She told the judge that Carlos would not give her Romika's address. Carlos would not give her Romika's address. That's what she told the judge. So he's not trying to help her get this order against Romika. And I feel like he might not have been trying to help her because he knew what she was going to do with it. Just what she did on September 8th. Now, I'm not taking any responsibility away from Carlos because Carlos did play a part. Carlos played a part as in he's messing with this one. He's messing with that one. He's, it's a love triangle here that he's the leader of and he's the center of. So he definitely bears some responsibility. But it says clear as day in court documentation that he would not give this girl, Quadasia, Romika's address. Romika, and then when she ended up getting Romika's address, the only reason that she had Romika's address was because she found a piece of mail. And when the judge asked her, how did you get Romika's mail? She said, because we share a child's father. That leads me to believe that she found the mail at Carlos' house. Not saying that Carlos gave it to her. She found it. She already said Carlos would not give her the address. So why would he give her a piece of mail right after that? So obviously she found it, probably took a screenshot, picture of it. That's how she got her address, because she found a piece of her mail. Stole a piece of her mail. So Romika says, we share a child's father. What's going on, Harmony? I didn't even see you in here. And he even said it's malicious on her end. So yes, I'm protecting me and my son and my career at this moment because she doesn't have anything to lose. The judge said that doesn't really sound like a question, more of a statement. Romika said, no, I'm saying, how do I go about making sure my child is protected from her at all times? The judge says, same thing. If you feel concerned for your safety for your child, You can call the police or contact the state's attorney's office. Okay? Romika says, okay, perfect. They are trying to serve her now, but can't. The judge says, okay, thanks so much. See you on July 14th. Have a nice day, everybody. Okay. Now, this was June. The next court date is in July. Now, mind you, this court date that's coming up here in July, Romika was not there. Remember, in June, Romika tried to tell, this is how the legal system fails people. Okay. Romika tried to tell the judge that she works 16-hour shifts and that she's not afforded a day out of nursing school until August. And I do because one of my friends was in nursing school and they are really strict about attendance or whatever. So there she's telling them, I can't take a day off until August. I'll try to make it in July. And she gave 2 dates in July that maybe she could try to make it on because the judge wasn't trying to hold it off until August. But she told her she wasn't going to be there in July. This was already said in June that she wasn't going to be there. So Romika did not show up. Okay. So this is the last court date. This right here is the court date where Quadeja got the killing papers. That's what I call them. I call them the killing papers. Quadeja was finally granted her killing papers in July because she got a default order because Romika didn't show up to court. Anytime you get a default order, you do not have to show any evidence. They give you something that is called a preponderance of evidence by default, meaning that whatever your statement was, your statement is enough because the respondent is not there to fight what you're saying. They're not there to defend themselves. They're not there to debunk any claims. So there's a preponderance of evidence on your end because your statement is enough. They're not fighting you. Okay, so thank you, Share My Love. I appreciate that. I was trying to see what that notification was. Thank you for that Cash App. I appreciate you, hon. Okay, so now this is the court date in July, the last court date, where she got her killing papers. Okay, so as you can see, just to show y'all, July 14th, 2025. The judge says the court will call Johnson versus Blackman. Quadeja says, I'm here, sir. I'm Quadeja Johnson. The judge says, good afternoon, ma'am. Do I have a Rebecca Blackman? She said her name. He said her name wrong. Or Romika Blackman, sorry. All right, ma'am, you filed a petition for an order of protection. No, I'm sorry, for a stalking, no contact order. Do you wish to continue this matter against the respondent? Quadeja says, yes, because she's still stalking me. Something just happened on Juneteenth. She's still reaching out to my family and friends, going through third parties, and I'm still being stalked on social media, different pages. She's making threats on there as well. The judge says, give me a moment, ma'am, okay? Quadeja says, okay. The judge says, okay, so Ms. Johnson filed a petition for an order of protection on December 4th of 2024. The respondent was served with that petition and did appear in court on June 18th of 2025. The respondent, Ms. Blackman, is not in court today, so respondent is found in default. Ms. Johnson, can you please raise your right hand for me? The petitioner herein called as a witness on her own behalf, having been first duly sworn, was examined and testified as follows. Okay, so Quadeja's being sworn in here, and she's a witness on her own behalf. Examination. The judge says, could you state your full name for the record, please? Quadeja says, Quadeja Johnson. The judge says, and Ms. Johnson, when you filed your petition on December 4th of 2024, to the best of your knowledge, were the allegations and statements you made in the petition true and correct? Quadeja says, yes. The judge says, do you believe they are still true and correct today? Quadeja says, yes. The judge says, and are you seeking an order in part because the respondent has engaged in a pattern of harassment towards you beginning last fall 2024? Is that correct? Quadeja said, yes. The judge says, and you are saying to me that the harassment has continued up until at least June 19th? Quadeja says, yes. The judge says, and do you know where she might be residing at this time? Quadeja says she still lives on 81st in Ingleside Avenue. Yeah, I have the address. The judge says, Ms. Johnson, when we are done, can you chat with the court coordinator, which is Aid, and provide that address to her? Can you leave it in the chat function on Zoom? Quadeja said, I've sent it to her before, but I'll send it again. The judge says, well, I don't have the file in front of me. That's why I had to print out the petition and things, so I appreciate your patience. Quadeja says, okay. The court says, having previously defaulted the respondent, after reviewing the verified petition with details, a number of harassing actions by respondent to both petitioner and other family members, and based on, listen to this, y'all. Based on the petitioner's testimony today, and based on the preponderance of evidence, the court finds that it has jurisdiction over petitioner and respondent. This was based off of Quadeja's testimony. That's it. We've read all of the documentation, all the way up until June, the last court date. She's still asking, do she need to bring in documentation? The court finds that it has jurisdiction over, and she's never brought in a piece of documentation proving anything. The court finds that it has jurisdiction over petitioner and respondent venue is proper. Petitioner is a victim of stalking under the Illinois No Stalking Contact Order. A violation of this act has occurred, and that respondent has engaged in 2 or more acts of stalking as defined by the act, and this course of conduct has caused petitioner fear for her safety as well as significant emotional distress. Without the court's intervention, the prohibitive contact may continue. Therefore, it is necessary to enter a plenary stalking no contact order. So, Ms. Johnson, this order will protect yourself. It will order the respondent the following. She's prohibited from threatening to commit stalking or commit stalking. She's prohibited from having any contact with you. She's permitted from coming within 1,000 feet of your residence, which is omitted pursuant to statute. Quadeja says, can you add my son on there as well? He's 5 months old. The judge says, sure, congratulations. Quadeja says, thank you. The judge said, what's your son's initials? Quadeja says, CS, Carson Smith. The judge says, and there will be no contact with the petitioner through third parties on social media. This order was issued on July 14th, 2:11 p.m. This default will run for 2 years until July 14th. Ms. Johnson, you do not have another court date. However, the respondent does have 30 days from today's date to try to vacate this default judgment. So if you get a visit from the sheriff, something by certified mail or even by email indicating that you have another court date in this matter, please make sure you appear, okay? Quadeja says, okay. The judge says, do you have any questions for me? Quadeja says, yes. So if she reaches out to a family member again, like she has their phone numbers and stuff because she pays for my information online. So how does she just straight up and down lying, y'all. Just straight up lying, ain't showed shit. She pays for my information online. So she reaches out to them again. Who do I report to? The court says the local police precinct. Call the police, tell them that you have a default no stalking contact order, that respondent has violated that, and give them details. So if they reach out to a family member, make sure they can get a call log or something like that to show that it's the respondent's phone number, or they can testify if they recognize their voice, something like that. And then the police will do their investigation and decide whether to bring charges in cooperation with the state's attorney's office. Quadeja says, also, how do I go about? So right now, she has my picture on her Facebook right now, and it's been up since April 8th. How do I go about reporting that or getting that removed off her page as well? The judge says, so when you say she has your picture, is it your profile picture, or is it your profile picture or just a picture? Quadeja said, it's on her page. It's not her profile picture, but if you scroll down, it's on her page. It's been up there since April 8th. The judge says, was it a picture that you had posted on social media? Quadeja said, yes, she got it from my page. The judge said, there's not much there because you put it out to the world on social media. So there's not much we can do about that. Quadeja said, no matter the word she's saying on there, it don't matter. This girl is so petty. This is so petty. The judge says, what's the word she's saying on there? Quadeja says, about a jacket that my child's father bought me, and she has the same jacket, and she's saying it's her jacket, and it's like a bullying thing. The judge said that's not much I can do with that. I'm sorry to say. All of this shit is so petty. She got this shit because Romika didn't come to court. That's it. That's the only reason it was granted, y'all. Quadasia says, okay, the judge says, you have a great day, Ms. Johnson, and you should get a copy of the order through the advocates you have been working with. Quadasia says, thank you. The judge says, thank you, bye. You can log off Zoom now. Hold on, let me pull something up real quick. Let me pull something up. This girl literally only got the order of protection because Romika did not come to defend herself, and she should have. She should have come and defended herself. But she didn't know no better. She didn't know that this was going to happen. Let me pull this up because for the people that's late coming in, I'm going to end this live with this because I want the whole world to see it. And I want everybody to share it. Don't just share this video. Take a screenshot. Do I got some content creators in here? Harmony, somebody do a video. Take a screenshot of this because I need for everybody to see that it is not a coincidence that this girl, Quadasia, she literally went to court December 24 all the way through July 2025 and killed Romika a month and a half later. The first initial court date that she showed to, she mentioned the child's school. So I need for everybody to see this. This girl talking about the boys' school. I want everybody to screenshot it. Send it around the world. This girl was talking about the baby's school, the same place that she shot and killed Romika on September 8th of 2025. She is here in court December of 2024 talking about the child's school because they couldn't serve Romika. So she's sitting there in court December of 2024. Well, what if I give them her son's school address? Because they can't figure out how to serve Romika because they don't have all of these hey, Open Book, thank you for that support. They don't have they couldn't find her correct address. They weren't able to serve her. So Quadasia says serve her at her son's school. This is not a coincidence, y'all. Come on now. You in the court telling them to go to this boy's school in December. You go to court after this December date, the emergency order was denied. Denied. I'm just saying it looked funny. That's all I'm saying. It looked funny to me. What's going on, Brown Mike? Now, Brown Mike, you and we don't necessarily I don't always agree with your content. However, you are very knowledgeable and I enjoy watching your live streams on Facebook. Y'all, I'm just saying it sounds like a coincidence. Now, if something, it just seems like, now this is something that I'm sure maybe are not going to be able to prove in court. However, just for us casually looking at this, what do y'all think? She goes to get an emergency order of protection. The emergency order is denied because it wasn't an emergency. The stuff that you got is petty, right? So you got December 24, she goes for the emergency order. January, she goes to court. February, she goes to court. March, she misses April. May, June, July. Romika stays alive for all 7 months. She finally gets the order in July and Romika ends up dead at the same place that she suggested that they serve her at a month and a half later. I mean, I'm just saying it looked funny. That's all I'm saying. I'm not making no allegations. Everything is alleged, but it looks funny. It looks funny. And I think that this is something maybe worth mentioning in court. Do I think it's like a golden ticket for her, for the prosecution? No. But I think that it is I think that it is noteworthy. I'll say that. I think it's noteworthy. So that's all I have for today, you guys. If you guys came in late, please go ahead and hit the replay and listen from the beginning. Thank you to everybody that came in and watched me this morning. I know it's early. I appreciate the support. Make sure when you leave that you like this live stream. Make sure that you're subscribed to my channel if you have not subscribed already. And when I end this live stream, make sure that you hype me up. If y'all didn't know, it's a hype button down there, which will push me out further into the algorithm. And share, you guys, because this information I think is really important, and I think that it's educational, because this situation to me, it shows me that regardless, if somebody goes out in the state of Illinois, I don't know about other places, I live in Illinois, when somebody goes and gets an order of protection against you or takes any legal action against you, and you know that you're not doing anything to that person, and you know that person is stalking you, please go to court. Don't just throw it off. Don't just say, I ain't thinking about that girl, I ain't going to court, because they could use that piece of paper, that documentation up with that order as killing papers for your ass. Excuse my French, but they could use that against you. And then you have nothing against them to say, oh, well, this is actually false. This is what they were doing to me. You have to defend yourself when somebody goes to court and puts out a stalking order or a no contact order against you. Because if you don't, then they'll get a default order. And now they have a legal documentation piece of paper in their hand saying this person is stalking me. So if they decide to ride down on you one day and pretend like they defending themselves and shoot you in your face, now they got a piece of paper saying legally, here's proof that I was afraid. Come on, y'all gotta think. This is a very important case to me because it shows it touches on so many different things. This story touches on so many different things. It's a lot deeper than what people see. It teaches a lot. Somebody gets an order of protection against you, shoot, make sure that you get an order against them. Make sure you get an order against them, or at least go to court and defend yourself. Remember, in the paperwork that we just read, it says here, the only reason that Romika even knew that Holly that was seeking stalking, no contact order against her is because she was in the process of going to get one on Quadeja. When she went to get the order on Quadeja, she found out that Quadeja was already in the process of getting one on her. So she got served while she was trying to get one on her. In the paperwork, it says here, in all the months that I read through all of the different documents that I read to you guys, Quadeja went to go get the emergency order on her. She was denied. In that paperwork, it says Carlos would not give Quadeja Romika's address. That's suspect as well, because if Carlos knows that Romika is the issue, and Quadeja is the one that is, she only wants her address to seek to get legal protection. Why would Carlos not give Quadeja Romika's address if he knows that she's not on that with Romika? He didn't give Quadeja Romika's address for a reason. Quadeja had to be sneaky to get Romika's address. Quadeja found a piece of mail that belonged to Romika, and I'm assuming that she found it at Carlos' house. That's how she got her address. Carlos would not help her. He wouldn't help her. I think that he didn't think it was safe or smart to be giving up Romika's address or whatever before she moved, because we do know that at a certain point, Carlos didn't know where Romika lived at all. But at a certain point throughout those months, she lived on Ingleside. But Carlos would not tell Quadeja that. So, okay, so Mike said cross orders do not work. The court doesn't allow that. It's one before the other. Okay. Well, maybe that's why when Romika went to the court to get an order of protection against Quadeja, that's when they said, well, no. They probably said, well, no, she has an order against you. You have to go to court for her. Maybe that's okay. So that makes sense. Thank you, Suburban Girl. Hold on. So I'm done for today, you guys. I'm getting ready to go ahead and get off of here. Make sure again that you hit the like button. Make sure that you guys share and subscribe. Also hit the notification bell so that you can be notified of the next time that I post content or the next time that I live stream. Thank you everybody that hit that like button already. Thank you for the Cash App from I already shouted your name out, but from Share My Love. Thank you, Share My Love. I really appreciate that. And I will see you guys shortly. We will talk very soon. All right, y'all. Peace.
Name is the upper echelon, she a debater, baby. She can give it to you straight, no chaser. She got the smarts, she got the heart, she got the confidence, baby. She the upper echelon. You know you intimidated. Stupid can't play with smart. She got the smart, she got the heart, she got the confidence. Baby, she the upper echelon. You know you intimidated. Stupid can't play with smart. Stupid can't play with smart.